Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Recruit Military Live. It's a continuing series of live broadcasts covering all things military transition, veteran employment, mil-spouse employment, and much, much more. My name is Lucas Connolly, retired U.S. Army officer and former TAP program manager, here to share with you the ins and outs of navigating the turbulent waters of civilian employment and the transition to it. If you're in search of meaningful employment, well, you found yourself in the right place. Please visit rmvets.com/live to learn more. Okay, folks, let's roll right in. Serving in the military means being a part of a team with one mission. The mission is to be ready and when called upon to fight and win America's wars. Having a mission, or a common enemy for that matter, has a unifying effect on a group of otherwise distinct individuals. It creates a unified team. Many, when they leave the military, they feel like they've lost their sense of purpose. They're no longer a part of the team. They lack a mission, and therefore they lack both goals and a plan necessary to achieve them. Today's guest is going to talk to us about how he redefined his purpose, created his own military path to success in the civilian world, and how he got there. Our guest today started his career in the U.S. Army's own 82nd Airborne Division, back when Reagan was president and I was still using hair gel. After 5 years as a paratrooper, he took the bold step forward to earn that Green Beret and went on after that to 24 years in both Army Special Forces groups and in Special Operations Command assignments. After a military career that would probably make a Tom Clancy novel look boring, he retired from the Army and founded his own company, War HOGG Tactical, bringing elite firearms and tactical training to the law enforcement community. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Rick Hogg. Rick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Lucas. Greatly appreciate it, bud.
Hey, did I miss anything in the bio?
Well, a couple things, right? So, and I'm not really going to focus on the military stuff. It'll come around, but let's focus on the civilian stuff.
Sure.
So I am also the co-host of On the Range podcast. We try to make our viewers, listeners 1% better every single day and talk about all things America. I am the inventor of the In Honor of Duco Loop Leash. Bam, there she is.
Very nice.
Born in Afghanistan, built right here in the great state of North Carolina, made in the USA. I am also the co-author of the Firearms Training Notebook. So again, you're going to see a common theme, wanting to get guys 1% better. So again, having a plan for both your dry fire and your live fire practice. I am the founder of the In Honor of Duco project. So, wrong finger, that's Duco right there. He was my combat assault dog. I lost him July 5th, 2021 to osteosarcoma. Our mission is to never let another SOF K9 handler make a medical decision about their partner based on their finances. And then I am also the founder of Project Officer Survival. We offer free law enforcement firearms training. For more info, swing by warhogg, warhogg.com. So there you go, buddy.
Brother, you're a busy guy. I don't know how if I could manage all that.
Well, it's just, it takes like anything else, right? So it's using kind of your mission planning skills that we had in the military. You just transition them over to planning stuff out. Hey man, what's my 5-meter target? What's my 25? Where are we at? So it's not that difficult for guys. The key thing is, my purpose, War HOGG Tactical, was actually established back in 98, right? So I didn't retire to 2017. So this is my passion. This is my drive. This is my why. If guys can find that, dude, they've got it made all day long.
Awesome. We're going to dive right into that in here in a second. Just on an admin note for the folks that are out there in internet land, if you've got a question, comment, issue, or concern, or just want to say hi, let us know who you are, who you're with, who you serve with, what your situation is. Feel free to jump into the chat. Time allowing, if you've got questions, we'll address them. All right, Rick. First of all, I want to say it's an honor and a privilege to have someone with your resume on the show. You are, without getting into too much detail, in a rare category of warriors, and so it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Let's talk decisions about joining the military. Now, many people join the military for different reasons. Some for college benefits, some because they need a job, others they lacked opportunities, some just to get off the farm. But once you're in the military, I don't think I've ever heard of anybody who went to jump school or BUDS or Q course just to put a few extra bucks in their pocket. Those are your double, triple, quadruple volunteers. I've never met an operator in any service in any tier that didn't have a deep and personal belief that this was their genuine purpose, that this is why they were here. Tell me something. How deeply is that sense of purpose ingrained in the character of our triple, quadruple, and even centuple volunteer force?
I would say it's pretty huge, right? So I'll pretty much speak from my own perspective. But a lot of my mates and stuff like that, they're kind of in the same boat, right? So a lot of us had this drive well before joining the military. So I knew prior to getting in that I wanted to go to Special Forces. If you look at the history of Special Forces, back in '86, when I first went to the recruiting office, yep, the SF Baby program was still there. '87, they kind of swapped over to a branch that went away. So unfortunately, hey, you do delayed entry. Hey, we got something better for you. This old 11 X-ray program. Well, can I jump out of planes? Oh yeah, we'll let you jump out of planes. No bonus, no nothing, right? So it's just to get your foot in the door. But all the guys that I know, there's always that purpose, and it comes from within. How do I make myself better? How do I find that next point? So yeah, hey, 82nd, great place to grow up. But again, needed more. And being at Fort Bragg, dude, at that time, we had 3 special forces groups on Fort Bragg. So you had 7th, 3rd, and 5th. Yes, 5th group used to be at Bragg, right? So you'd see these guys out there in the training areas going, man, I know I always wanted to go that way. Then it's just a matter of, hey, waiting some time. At that time, I think it was E4, E5 you needed to be before you could go to SFAS, so Special Forces Assessment and Selection. Desert Storm put a slight kibosh to my master time plan, but that's all right. Get some good experience from that. Get everything worked out and, go over to SFAS and just, you want to keep excelling. Hey, how can I keep making myself better? And that's the whole driving factor. And we kind of take that whole drive and purpose and employ it with War HOGG Tactical and everything we're doing.
Now, just an off-the-cuff question. Do you get the tattoos on the Harley Davidson before or after Q course?
So I've got 0 tattoos. And
no Harley?
What's that?
And no Harley?
Well, married with kids, right? So
yeah, enough said.
Yeah.
Single, 2 Harleys in the driveway.
There you go.
All right. I had the opportunity to interview another Special Forces veteran, Herb Thompson, who's pretty active in social media, and he's also written a book. One of the things in my conversation with him, which I found interesting, was he said the challenges. Well, he said the more stickers you have in the back window of your pickup truck, the more challenging your transition to civilian life is going to be. What do you think he meant by that?
I think he's spot on, right? So when people talk to me, hey, who am I? I'm Rick Hogg. I'm the owner of War HOGG Tactical, right? If you look in the back of my truck, the stickers or big stuff you'll see back there, big American flag, War HOGG logo on one side, On the Range podcast logo on the other, warhogg.com on the bottom, right? Guys have to understand their purpose. They can't have their purpose driven by their rank, their position, their job title, whatever they're doing in the military, right? You have to make that separation whenever that point is that it's time for you to get out. Hey, man, that's your past. Now, yes, we do draw on our experience, right? So, yes, I have to go in my elevator pitch. Yes, I am Rick Hogg, owner of War HOGG Tactical. I'm a 29-year U.S. Army Special Operations combat veteran, because that gives solidification to War HOGG Tactical and what we're teaching. We're not teaching theory. We're teaching from combat experience.
It's your credibility.
That's all it is, right? That's why we have the plug in there. And that's really all I need to put, right? I don't need to go all this other stuff. Hey, man, 29-year U.S. Army Special Operations combat veteran. I add the SOF K9 handler because we do K9 training as well, right? So that just gives validity to what we're doing. Do I add my Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat instructor time? I do, because that just solidifies once more my instructor capability, or I've got experience instructing. And that's it. But guys, they have to understand their identity cannot be tied to the military. They have to, the sooner they can break it, the better. Because if you get out and all of a sudden, hey, I'm Sergeant Major so-and-so, great, dude. What's it matter, right? You got politicians throwing their rank around they didn't even have. We won't even get into that piece, right? But what's it matter? It only matters to your veteran style community. And depending what you're looking to do, it doesn't matter. I'll give you a prime example. When I first got out, SHOT Show kind of getting, gripping and grinning with all our industry partners, even meeting new ones. Hey, man, Yeah, give them a quick 29-year special operations or U.S. Army Special Operations combat vet. They're like, yeah, okay, great. Let's talk about you and War HOGG Tactical. What are you doing? Right? They don't care. And I hate to smash people's stuff, right? And I'm not taking away from anyone's service. But for the general part, people don't care, right? They don't talk about, hey, what'd you do in the Army? Don't care. What are you doing today? How are you going to make my business better? How are you going to make your business better? That's the whole thing. How's this partnership going to work? And that's what people need to understand.
It's an interesting thing because I used to, when I was in, especially when I was on staff, and you start to get, as a staff officer, you get wrapped around slides and verbiage and warnings and how the order is written and this word versus that word. I remember telling a young captain who was getting really wrapped around the axle, I said, brother, one of these days you're going to describe your entire military career in one sentence. Somebody's going to ask you, hey, didn't you used to be in the Army? And you're going to say, yeah, I did 20. And that's it. That's going to be how you describe this entire portion of your life. You have to move forward.
Yeah. And that's what people have to understand. If you need it, great. Depending what you're looking to do. Like I'm always going to push guys to go be an entrepreneur because they can follow whatever they're passionate. It doesn't matter. I am in the firearm space because I want to be here. The hook that got me, like I said, my business originally started in 1998. Obviously, I'm still active. North Carolina, teaching North Carolina concealed carry. In 2002, when the first group of guys that I taught at the Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat Committee, when they came back and said, hey, man, that stuff you taught me saved my life, that was the hook. That set the hook for I'm going to run a training company when I get out. Now, there's a whole bunch of lessons learned to that. War HOGG Tactical is not our initial name, but you learn as you go. So find that passion while you're in. And we could have done a lot more to cultivate it and got things better when we got out. We thought we were doing well to really get out into the mean, cruel world. Because here's the bottom line, guys, right? I work harder now as an entrepreneur than I ever did when I was in the military. You are 24/7, 365 because it's your business, right? Everything is your success. So guys have to understand that. But here's the beauty. I wake up every morning, take that big, deep breath of air. Thank God I'm alive. And boom, we're going to work. Let's get after it.
Now, a quick question, I always find it interesting when I meet somebody who's got 25, 27, 29, 30 years of experience in the military, because I know that for, at least for myself, that I loved my time in the military, but that retirement day couldn't come soon enough. I was tired. I was in 4 tours under my belt and I was ready to hang it up. You hit that 20-year mark right as we were surging in Iraq. And there were any number of private military companies that would have offered you $200,000, $250,000, $300,000. Why stay in uniform? Why not cash in?
Because it's about your purpose. So if I get out, right, and I'm getting daddy big bucks, a couple things. The team I was with, the guys I was with, absolute pipe hitters, right? Trust them with my life. You go out into the private sector, man, I heard more horror stories of guys inflating resumes doing this. Plus, here's the bottom line. I don't have United States government support, i.e. my Helo Medevac, CAS, all that stuff, right? I'm out there flapping. And here's the thing. If you're chasing dollars, chase dollars as an entrepreneur, right? If you've got purpose, you're a gazillionaire. Trust me. If you can wake up every morning happy with what you're doing, you've got it, man. And that was the thing. I enjoyed what I was doing, right? I was running with a good crew. I had purpose what we were doing. We were taking the fight to the enemy. Is it about dollars? Life isn't always about dollars, guys. It's about purpose, satisfaction, happiness. And that was it. Now, I will say this. Did all that time have repercussions on my family? 100%. Right? Did that take a toll on us? Yeah, I did. Did we finally get things corrected and work things out? Yep. Because Rick wasn't the most honest, wasn't the most talkative while I was in. And that's a key part, right? You have to communicate with your spouse as far as what's going on. So, hey, man, yeah, we had a pretty good, hey, she knew when I was leaving, knew when I was coming home, but I was gone all the time. My kids are sitting there telling stories. I don't remember that. Yeah. Big joke in the hog house is I was out getting milk, right? Never around, right? But in my mind, I'm taking the fight to the enemy. I'm keeping the fight there. They're not coming here. So it's not always about dollars and cents on that aspect. That was just my personal beliefs. And I don't know a whole bunch of guys. There were some, that went off and did it, but most try to run, as long as they could.
So let's talk for a second about that transition piece, because I think there's a piece of me when I knew a lot of guys that did that. They got out, but pretty much if you had an 18 in your MOS, they were throwing money at you at that point in time. And then some years later, it all really started drying up as the wars dwindled down. I would sometimes say, and even people that I personally knew, I said, what's the deal? Is it the money, or is it that you just don't know how to do anything else, or you just don't have a transition plan? Now, I imagine at a certain point in time, you started to formulate, hey, I'm getting out. I'm 30 is probably enough. Talk to us for a little second about formulating your idea, your transition goals, getting out. How did that path fall?
So I hit my RCP. I hit the point where the Army said, you got to pack your stuff, dude. I was like, Roger that. Right. So it was inevitable we're getting out. I knew at that 2-year mark, you still got to let them know, hey, I'm retiring, because again, picking the date. But again, it goes back to this. The military did not define me. That's the key takeaway. Guys have to understand, hey, I'm doing a job for a certain amount of time. When it's time to get out, people go, ask me about me. Hey man, I'm Rick Hogg. That was the thing. I am Rick Hogg. I'm not whatever rank, title, position. Nope. I'm Rick Hogg. I'm the owner of War HOGG Tactical. Right. So I knew all that going forward. You go to the TAPS classes, and I don't know how they are now, and not to throw you under the bus, but it didn't give me nothing, man. I went to Boost to Business. They're like, because I knew I was going to be the entrepreneur. I'll go get a loan from SBA. I don't need a loan, right? You didn't tell me nothing about marketing. You didn't tell me nothing about business name, logos, any of the stuff you've got to do for your business, right? So now you're trying to sit there and learn and struggle. And that would be the biggest thing I would tell guys. If you hit that 2-year mark, if that's still kind of what the policy is, start deep diving into, hey, if you are going to be an entrepreneur, all the stuff you got to do. So why is it War HOGG Tactical? How do I plug my name in, right? Because I had a buddy of mine sitting there kind of running all this stuff by him. And we won't mention my old business name, but he's like, man, your name sucks. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, where's your name? And again, going back to U.S. history, Wise, Colt, Smith & Wesson, right? It's your name. It's your identity. It's part of your brand. Wow. That's a novel concept, right?
Personal branding.
That's it. And nothing against some of these other guys that have other businesses out there, but where's your name? So whenever we're doing things War HOGG Tactical, War HOGG represents Rick Hogg, right? And a lot of people don't even they don't put the two together. So it's having that personal branding in there, and then it's getting out, and you got to start marketing early, right? You got to start understanding, hey man, get your website set up. What's your SEO? What social platforms you're going to get on? Because all this stuff you got to do, right? But to caveat everything with social, we've been zucked, right? So we've lost our main Instagram page because Zuckerberg doesn't like firearms, even though he was a state actor. We won't get into all the politics of that, right? But you got to leverage these tools in order to get your business going. Man, where would my email list be if I was starting to put stuff out, whether it's a simple blog post, something 2 years out, right? Drive them to your website. No, don't drive them to social. Because I used to be, you can find us here and there and Facebook and Instagram. Who cares? warhogg.com, right? Drive them to your site. It's all about your brand. And then how do you build it? How do you continue to grow? Man, you can always do the classic, hey, I wish I knew now what I knew then. And that's why on the Range podcast, we did like a whole entrepreneurial series. Hey, man, here's my lessons learned. Starting from picking your business name. Hey, am I going to be an S Corp or LLC? Like, I will not give you the tax advice on that. Hey, go talk to a CPA on that one. But it's laying all that stuff out so guys understand, here's kind of your roadmap, how to navigate this stuff. Because like I said, for me,
it's interesting because when I talk to some folks who are in transition, and I do meet with a handful that say they want to start their own business. And I said, well, what are your goals? They say, I want to start my own company. And I just kind of think about that as like, Don't you want to run your own company? I mean, do you just want to start it and be like, oh, I started it? It's not a finish line. That's a start line.
Mm-hmm.
What's your actual goal? Just being able to put your name on the marquee, that's not an accomplishment. That's the beginning of a journey.
Yeah. And it's always going to see, here's the thing. Had you asked me in 2017, would I be a co-host of a podcast? Nope. Would I be a co-author of a book? Nope. Would I have done all this stuff? Would I be, an inventor of something? Nope. Would I have these foundations? Nope. Did I ever think I was going to lose Duke? Nope. Right. But you have to understand things have to shift. Like the podcast was a direct impact, as far as the old China virus hitting everything, locking down. We had to do something to keep the brand alive. Yep. So that's why it's On the Range podcast with War HOGG Tactical and Kelly Defense, right? You always have to be thinking, how can I get the message out there? Because really, we only had, I think, South Carolina was about the only state we had things going. Who would have looked back and figured that one out, right? But you, as an entrepreneur, you always have to be out there pivoting, adjusting, because you don't know what's going to happen, what opportunities are going to jump in there. But what do we know about podcasting? Like, you listen to our first podcast, janky, right? They were hokey.
Oh, I feel you. I look at some of the shows that I did. This is, I think, my 76th live broadcast. And I look at the first few and I was like, wow, those are really bad. Take those down. Don't ever show those again.
Yeah. Well, we leave ours up, right? To drive people to go, hey, man, check them out. Because they're poor audio quality. It was just audio. There's no video. But it shows a progression, right? Yep. If you watch, I mean, we got 500 plus episodes. If you watch from start to finish, now granted, be a lot of time on there, but you can see the progression. So the mantra of being 1% better every day is just not lip service. We're doing it, whether it's business wise, whether it's fitness, finance, firearms, family, faith, it's all part of it, right? And if guys can understand, how can I be 1% better every single day? Dude, you're going to crush life, right? Because not everything's going to happen at once. Incrementally, you got to sit there and go. And the transition process is the same way. Hey, if you're at that 2-year mark, I still talk to some buddies, they're still in. Hey, man, what are you going to do to get out? I don't know. I got to figure it out when it's time to grow up. It's like, man, you're 6 months out. It's like, come on, bud.
It's hilarious because, I talked to some people and I said, why'd you join the Army? I said, well, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grow up. And I said, now where you're at? They're like, well, I'm retiring and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So, hey, I wanted to switch gears for a second and talk about tribe. Sebastian Junger has a pretty good book that came out just recently where he talks about this concept of tribe and tribal societies. And I think whether you're in group, behind the fence line, in the conventional force, whether you're wearing a Stetson or an airborne beret, you find yourself in a kind of a tribal environment with its own norms and histories and roles and goals and weird behaviors and vocabulary. You get out of the military, it's all gone. When I was taking a look at your LinkedIn profile, I saw a lot of volunteer work. Mm-hmm. How does that piece of the puzzle fit into the overall perspective of kind of finding your new tribe as a civilian?
Oh, I mean, that's it, right? It's shifting gears, because you have to understand, like when I get out, total culture shock on the aspect of this. My gym was gone. My chow hall was gone. My range was gone. My bullets were gone. And I did not plan for it, right? I didn't have any of those, the docs I could just sit there and see right then. None of that stuff I had even thought about. So now I get out going, man, where's the gym? Now I got to go to the gym. Nope. Get the gym in the house, right? Got to go find the range, do all this stuff. But on the volunteer side, you start building this new tribe. So let's just use Scott's Wish with the In Honor of Duco project, right? So the In Honor of Duco project is supported by Scott's Wish, who's a 501c3. We're all volunteer entity. And with that is the subsets of this. You start building the tribe of, hey, man, who are these other canine handlers that I'm helping, right? Because, dude, their dogs need some medical assistance. Boom, we're going to help. Or whether it's canine officers that need vests for their, their canine partners, that stuff. So it's building that tribe from within. And here's the other thing. Mark Kelly, whether he's my co-host on the podcast, co-author with the book. I knew Mark back in the 82nd, but Mark didn't do a full stint in the military. He got out at like that 6-7 year mark, right? But we still stayed in contact. So your tribe can kind of get separated and then come back together. But it's like anything else. You got to put the work in, and you have to understand.
It's not going to come to you.
No. You've got to build the tribe, right? You got to prep the tribe, but your old tribe is gone. Now, granted, you still stay in contact with those guys, but man, they're still deploying. They're still doing their stuff.
Yep.
You can't go.
The Army goes rolling
along.
along.
The team room. I got to go do that. No, dude, don't. You got to look forward to, hey, man, I'm out. They're still serving, doing their business. What's my new tribe? What's my new purpose? What am I doing? And that's got to be the key thing. I did not, from my standpoint, I didn't build the tribe and support network as well as I should have. That was probably one of my biggest downfalls to the transition.
Based on that, let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Now, the Army recommends for retirees starting your transition process about 2 years out. Mm-hmm. For you, that would have been somewhere 2015.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back, knowing now that, like you said earlier, if I knew then what I know now, what do you think you would have done a little differently?
It all would have been building the brand, right? We would have had the website established, at least, a landing page. We wouldn't have to necessarily offer courses and be out there, but at least offer a landing page, start collecting those emails, start working on, blogs, articles, whatever, just to start educating people as far as what War HOGG Tactical is. So the biggest thing, it's all about marketing. And that's the biggest thing people forget. So like I said, I was on somebody else's podcast. I don't remember whether it was Jack Carr's, Mike Ritland, one of those, right? And they go, hey, how can we get in contact with you? And I used to tell everybody, here's my Instagram, here's my Facebook. There was like that epiphany moment going, warhogg.com. What would have happened if I had warhogg.com established back in 2015 and started driving people there, right? Start working on that social presence, start getting that advertising, for lack of better terms, out there. Because here's the bottom line. Social is all a tool to drive people to the website. First thing when you go to the website, boom. As soon as you hit that warhogg.com, it pops up, boom. Within about 10 seconds, you're going to get that flash. Sign up for our newsletter, right? Stay connected with us. And then in turn, whether we're putting out articles, blogs, videos, whatever, you're getting, that part tuned in. That probably would have been, I would have cleaned that up a lot better.
So for those service members that are transitioning to entrepreneurship, you really got to start building your business well in advance of that DD 214.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And here's the thing, I was in that generation that didn't have Facebook. I didn't have Instagram, right? We weren't social people, social aspect as far as social media goes, right? Who cares about that stuff? Man, did I get slapped in the face? Because of course you get out and there's all your industry partners going, hey man, we can't find you on social. Not a one asking about warhogg.com, right? Don't care about that. Hey, we can't find you on social. Now I got to run back and hit my kids up. Hey, what's this Instagram and Facebook? And now I'm getting advice from kids. I'm behind the power curve here, right? Where we could have been building that 2 years beforehand.
I think, you've got not just your website and social, but you've got your LinkedIn profile. And when did the light come on for you about LinkedIn? Because I tell a lot of folks, I said, look, if you're going to be putting yourself out there into the workforce, you got to be networking. There's no better way to network unless you're going to an event. If you can go shake somebody's hand live, that's primo.
Yep.
But if you can't be face to face, right here at your fingertips, you've got 300 million people.
Yeah.
When did the light come on with LinkedIn?
You ready for this one?
Go ahead.
Last year. Right. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. We dropped the ball totally on LinkedIn. We'd heard about LinkedIn and it's like, yeah, it's more of a professional style, networking, which yes, it is. Right. But the power that LinkedIn has, in my opinion, for the entrepreneur is absolutely huge. So here's like a prime example. So we've got a big course that we're doing in Florida here towards the end of the month. Dude, I can take all my LinkedIn contacts, search Florida, and boom, send them a personal invite. I can't do that on any of the platforms, right? I can kind of do position searches, law enforcement agencies, Florida, whatever, boom, and get some results, right? And start doing some actual interaction. LinkedIn is huge. Plus the growth. That's our biggest platform as far as growth goes. You look at Meta, we know Meta is manipulated by the government, right? Especially being in the firearm space. But LinkedIn was one of those tools, man, if I'd had that thing in 15, man, we could have been cooking. But that was a big ball dropped. So I would highly recommend get LinkedIn, understand how to use it. I believe they give you
1 year
when
free.
I sign up for it, I think I got the free 30-day trial. I never used it to its max potential, right? Because I didn't even know what I was doing. Or maybe it was a year. I forget. Whatever it was. Like
transitioning service members and recent veterans get 1 free year.
Yeah, get a free year. Dude, I wasted that. Gone. Never to get it back again, right? So if I want the premium service now, I got to pay. But I would sit there and say, out of all the platforms, I would tell somebody, go to LinkedIn, try to find somebody that understands how to work LinkedIn, right? Because you can sit there and try to manipulate and figure it, but it's just wasted time. And time's your number one most precious commodity. Once you burn it, you can't get it back.
Yep.
So try to find that mentor that, hey, man, how do you work this thing? How do we get it going? How's my page look? Right. And you got to do a little bit. So before you jump into LinkedIn, hey, get that website established, right? So now I can put that link on my LinkedIn page, right? Because again, it's a tool to drive them back to the website, at least for War HOGG Tactical, right? I want people to go to warhogg.com. And then the other part is, why is it warhogg.com and not warhoggtactical.com? Because at the end of the day, people are lazy. Make it as easy for people
Too many letters
to find your site as you can.
Absolutely. Okay, all you future entrepreneurs out there, pay attention. Start early, build your business model, get out there and social and build your contacts. For the rest of the folks out there that are not going into their own business opportunities, you have the opportunity, if you have the opportunity to give to a transitioning service member, just 1 year out, one solid piece of advice. What would that piece of advice be?
Get that mental shift change. The military is not your identity. You're you. Regardless whether you're going to be an entrepreneur or into the workforce. Do not get tied, whether it's that rank, position, whatever, do not tie yourself to that. That's it. And have whatever you're going to do, have a purpose. Because too many times guys will get kind of tempted by, I can get X amount of dollars working for contractor X. Dude, it's not about the money. If you have purpose every single day, that's it. So I would make sure, hey man, if you want to go brew beer, go do whatever you want. Do something that's going to give you the purpose you want, so that every time when you transition from wearing that old salad suit or whatever they call it now, once you hang that thing up, you've got purpose every time you're waking up in the morning. Either way.
We're back to green now. Everything came full circle. We went from BDUs to that gray thing to the frac U's, and now we're back to the green thing again. So everything that's old is new again. That's
it.
Well, Rick, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're just about to wrap it up. Give us what's that website one more time?
Yeah, so it's warhogg, warhogg.com. Warhogg.com.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for being with us today. I really appreciate it. On behalf of Recruit Military and the folks that joined us, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rick Hogg, again, thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Thanks, Lucas.
All right. And if you haven't already done so out there, all you folks out there in internet land, do yourself a solid and use the link rmvets.com/live. That'll drive you to our website, where you'll find over 300,000 job opportunities from more than 16,000 employers around the world and around the corner. You'll find information about our job fairs held monthly, nationwide, in person and virtual, and a library of content, all designed to help veterans, transitioning service members, and mil spouses find meaningful employment. That about does it for us today. This has been Lucas Conley for Recruit Military Live. Until next time, good luck and Godspeed.